Well, I asked, where's the beef? Let's call this for what this is. Oh my God! They are so hopelessly woke. How dare you? That is the intellectual capital of the left today. Give me a break. You are now watching the Daily Roundup. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Daily Roundup on this, a Thursday, April 27th, 2023. I'm David Menzies, and my co-host, well, let me tell you a little bit about my co-host. Do you know, folks, today is National Devil Dog Day, and my co-host will not be consuming one. She's a very devout Christian, you see. She is the she-devil with a spatula. She is the Khaleesi of BC. She is Drea Humphrey. How you doing there, Drea?
I'm doing good. Hi, David. Hi, everybody. And I must admit, I've never heard of a devil dog. Like, is it just spicy or something? I
think it is an American thing. Our version, Drea, if you're like me, you grew up with Vashon cakes. And the devil dog seems to be, the half-loon moon. So you got two, what do you call that? That foamy pastry with the cream in the middle there. Oh, there's super producer.
Oh, there we go. Oh, I never would have guessed it was a dessert.
Yeah.
At first I thought you were talking about literal dogs. Now it's going, okay. Like an Oreo Twinkie or something.
I think PETA might have something to say about that. Yeah, I mean, it looks delicious. It can only do as bad, I can tell you that much. But, before we get into what we're trying to do here, Dre, I got, my favorite episode, I think, all time of Seinfeld. All the episodes were good. But it was their parody of Kwanzaa, Festivus, a Festivus for the rest of us. And there was the part I loved the most, and I'm starting to introduce this around Christmas time. It always goes bad, is the airing of the grievances. And the airing of the grievances today, for me, we're nowhere near Kwanzaa. I don't care. My recent issue of Car and Driver magazine plopped into my mailbox yesterday. There it is. 25 cars worth waiting for. Make it 24, Drea, because one of the cars, I cannot believe it. It's not even a car. It is a Corvette SUV. General Motors, you have gone too far. I mean, really? A Corvette SUV? What next? A Corvette station wagon? A Corvette minivan? This is what we call brandalism. You are vandalizing a brand. It's bad enough those GM bastards came out with the new generation Corvette without a stick shift, but now it's an SUV? Unbelievable. Look at that atrocity bearing the Corvette name. The Corvette, for more than half a century, has always been, Drea, as you know, a two-seater sports car. First they get rid of the stick, then they bring this abomination in. Drea Humphrey, are you going to buy a Corvette SUV?
You know what? As a mom with kids,
how dare you?
I don't think I see quite the abomination as you do. But, these brands, it's like, why reinvent something that's so good, so classic, and they just get bored and they do something new. But I don't know. I'd have to see it up close. It looks pretty freaky from that picture, but
I don't know. I think it's appropriate. It's the color blue because I think this is GM's Bud Light moment. And I mean, really, I'd have more respect if somebody just bought a Dodge Caravan and put a sticker on the tailgate saying Corvette. Okay.
Yeah, that'd be pretty. Hey, that would sell.
Oh,
I identify as a Corvette bumper stickers.
Yeah, there you go.
My goodness.
And then pocket the $100,000 you're going to save by going that route. But I guess that's enough car talk for now. Drea Humphrey, what are we trying to do here? We have such a packed schedule, but you lay down the housekeeping rules as always.
Well, welcome to our daily live stream where you and I get together and all of us can talk about what is the latest in the news in this crazy world. And so if you're watching, you can actually join us by chiming in, giving your input, asking questions on Rumble or on Odyssey. There is a live chat option there. And it also helps support our journalism here. For those of you who have been following us for a while, you know that we're viewer funded, unlike the 95% upwards of media in Canada that take money from the state. We rely on the people. So if you donate $5 or more and do the chat, we do our best to read it. And then that also helps support our journalism. But we actually have something really exciting that we've been talking to everybody lately about, because if you're like me, you're just done. You're done with the censorship. It's not getting any better. God forbid some other emergency happens. We saw how much censorship came out of that. Let's be better prepared this time around. So there is a new non-censorship platform that we're on, and we're loving it so far. If you go to locals.com, actually, to make it even easier for you, if you go into the description box below, there's a link right there that takes you right to our profile. So we're on there, all of our content's on there, and there's also, of course, other great content on there as well, but you can actually join our community. So all of the Rebels are on there. You can see everything that you would see on YouTube. And then I think it collabs with Rumble, which is nice, another free speech platform. But then again, if you also want to support our journalism, you can get access to our exclusive documentaries, our behind the scene footage, Rebel, our Ezra Levant weekly show. So there's a lot of good stuff there. And again, we're just encouraging people to avoid the censorship, keep in touch with us and other great creators at locals.com.
Fantastic. Yes, we are keeping free speech alive as best we can in this day and age of imminent approval, I suppose, of Bill C-11. But, you know, I know it's not on the list, Drea, but I thought we would get to it just as an update and really to give credit where credit is due. As you know, ace cameraman Lincoln J. and myself, we went to the Waterloo Catholic District School Board on Monday because for a change, there wasn't one or two people in the spectators gallery there. It was packed, actually. Yeah. And almost all the parents were there for one reason: to demand justice, to demand an apology, maybe even a resignation of a certain school board trustee who said that the most dangerous creature on the planet is a white Christian male. By the way, she's white. I presume she's Christian.
Her father is white.
And, you know, so she checks off two of the boxes of the most dangerous. So I guess because she's female, I guess she's slightly less dangerous. Although I've often been told the female of the species is the most dangerous one, just as the Black Widow community. But in any event, why don't we run a clip? This is what happened when I didn't interrupt anything. Some boring guy gave a presentation and said, "Are there any questions?" So, hey, if you're asking, I'm dancing. So I asked a question, and we're gonna key that up. And lo and behold, Drea, the end result, and it's something we see happening time and time again, is the school board taking their ball and running away. They actually shut down the meeting and called the police. 7 police SUVs showed up. I guess there's no crime in Kitchener these days, just thought crimes. And as soon as I get the thumbs up from our super producers, that good to go.
I did see a clip of this. It's pretty epic.
It's the Kitchener clip, right, guys? Oh, okay. I was talking about, you know what? Why don't we show, it's in sort of the same vein, school boards and schools going mad. Lincoln and I were out in Whitby yesterday, and
you
there
guys
was
are busy.
a demonstration by mostly mothers and grandmothers against, there's no other way to describe it, Drea, pornography in the elementary school libraries. I'm trying to be as polite as possible. Intercourse, oral sex, masturbation, all for an elementary school audience. And of course, the rainbow community came out because allegedly, if you're against pornography, you are transphobic and homophobic. I don't know how that is. It doesn't compute. That's not what the demonstrators were saying. So why don't we run a roll of that, a clip of that, Drea, and then a little later on, we'll come back for an update on what's going on at the Waterloo Catholic District School Board. Here you go.
Sounds good.
I don't know what books are in this school, but I heard that there is a couple. And when I was reading them today out loud, I was almost going to vomit.
Adam has sex with his daughter, and Eve has sex with her son, and that's how apparently the world was populated. So are you saying that it's okay to teach our children that incest is okay?
Well,
because that's in the Bible. That's a book.
That's actually one of the themes of one of the books on the list. Incest, a father and his 7-year-old daughter. No.
Oh, because the Bible was the first book to actually promote that, isn't it?
I wonder if the Bible's available in the school.
I wonder if it is.
Why do trans people identify as violent thugs so often, sir? Oh, well, that was... Almost an hour? You're not fun. That's not a lie. So why did you say you were a father? Can you get your greasy hands off? I'm not on the mic, actually. For sure, why not? Bro. Why did trans people identify as violent thugs so often, sir? Oh, well,
Oh my God. That was...
Lincoln, do you have a...
You don't know where that's been, bro. Oh, man. Get some mouthwash. Yo, get some mouthwash.
I didn't put it in the camera. Yes, you did.
You just ate that, bro.
Yeah.
Good job. You just ate that, bro.
Why do you have to resort to profanity? Why do you have to resort to making false statements? How come so many of you trans people identify as violent thugs? Wow. Wow, that's great. What are you identifying as right now? Wow. A pain in your ass. Oh, I think you're right. Yeah, I am. Okay, Lincoln.
That was pretty good.
Somebody else. That's good, guys. That's good. No, you don't want to. Oh, yeah. So scared.
You don't want to.
Scared.
Be careful, man. Sorry. Don't bump into people. Sorry.
I'm walking backwards, man. Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah.
Well, at the back end.
Yeah, Drea, that was a first for me. Somebody biting my microphone.
What is that? What is that? So gross. And Lincoln's so right. You don't know where it is. Like, our microphones are everywhere. And that thing drops sometimes too. That's gross.
Oh, Drea, Lincoln had the last laugh because he said, dude, you don't know where that mic's been. There's been hundreds of people speaking into it, spittle going on it. I don't know if David's sanitized it today or not. And this like awakening came over him going, like, he didn't say it, but I know he was thinking, yeah, maybe it wasn't a good idea, to bite that microphone. Like, what are you going to do next? Lick a toilet seat, for God's sakes? But Drea, can you explain to me, please, the mothers and the grandmothers campaigning for decency in the schools, lovely ladies, I hope I can call them that. Maybe the trans community is upset about that too, but and you go over to the other side, the counter protest. This is the love trumps hate, they chant, and they're playing their ABBA music and everything else. And yet they are so quick, like I said on camera, to identify as violent thugs. And they can't even make their argument. Why is that, Drea?
We're seeing this all across Canada, all across North America, over and over. We're showing it. I think what really is causing division and anger towards people is that the legacy media doesn't show this to people. So because they don't even show what's in those books. If they simply would just show what people are actually protesting, what parents are concerned about, their kids seeing sexual acts, and you're right, books about incest that, by the way, don't paint it in a bad light like the Bible does. That woman brought up the Bible. Leviticus makes it very clear in the Bible, it is not okay to practice incest that dishonors you and your family. But of course, she leaves that out. I'm kind of sidetracking here, but the Bible is a history book. Incest is unfortunately a part of history all over. It's not like a Christian thing, but the Bible makes it very clear that it is not what you do. But anyways, so if the state-backed media would actually show people what people are protesting, you wouldn't have this division, because so many people, LGBTQ community included, would go, oh, I'm against this too. and know those
Exactly.
people are not hateful. So like yourself covering there and myself, we've covered many protests like this, and you're right. I don't know why I think these violent people are coming out as an excuse. I think they're like, this community is where I can go and get away with harassing people, get away with bullying people, feel good about myself, feel powerful. And in many cases, like we've covered before, the police just watch and let it all happen. And I think there's a lot of mental instability there. I am a mental health professional by trade prior to being with Rebel News, and I see a lot of it even when I'm face to face with people. So.
Oh, but Drea, as you know, there's no tolerance for an opinion like that. You know, that makes you a hater, a bigot, a transphobe. But, you know, at the end of the day, these people, the demonstrators, not the counter demonstrators, they weren't denouncing, you know, the transgender community or homosexuality or anything else like that.
No,
they were taking a stand against pornography. Now, here's where I weigh in, Drea. Love it or loathe it, pornography is legal in Canada. However, if one of the students at Colonel Farewell's school went down to the corner store and even tried to buy something tame like Playboy, sorry, under 18, you cannot buy it. Why is the magazine, the pornographic magazine at the corner store, that's off limits? In fact, the retailer could face a criminal charge. Yet that child can go to his school's public library and check out a book with the most vile passages, the most pornographic scenes in it. Drea, I can't compute this.
Well, I did do a comprehensive report on whether or not this is pornography. And I do encourage everybody to watch that report. I interview a criminal defense lawyer out here. And it is true that these books technically don't fit into the criminal code's definition of pornography, predominantly because they are under the umbrella of educational resources, which is not in the intent. You know, educational books are not supposed to be with the purpose of, you know, making people have sexual feelings. So the loophole is actually that they're putting what we call pornographic images into these books. And then you have resource makers or approvers like Soji 123 out here in BC approving these horrific things as educational resources. So the problem then lies with who our government is coming to say what is okay and what isn't okay in the schools. And that is where we need to focus our attention, because as long as these keep getting approved as educational resources, they technically don't fall under the pornography category.
Drea, you raised an excellent point, and my counterpoint would be, well, let's just test that in court, because as a matter of fact, that group of parents are in communication with a lawyer, and they're trying to figure out how they can press a criminal charge against the school for this. And I think whether they succeed or not, maybe your lawyer source is correct. It doesn't meet the benchmark. I don't see how. I saw the passages that were in these books, and it sure looks, walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, as the saying goes. But, you know, wouldn't it be fascinating that in the process of discovery and disclosure, we see all these emails going back and forth between the educrats at the school board and the principals, because you know they've talked about this, and it would be really revealing to see how they played their hand, to see how they cheered on getting this smut into elementary schools. So I hope they go forward with a case. I hope a judge decides to hear it, whether it's criminal or civil. And let's see who's who in the zoo. Let's see who is really behind getting this horrible age-inappropriate material into our schools, Drea.
Absolutely, I agree. And there is a way to do it according to the criminal defense lawyer that I interviewed who has defended child sexual abusers. And so just for record, if someone wants to write it down, it's that video is called Criminal Defense Lawyer Explains What to Do About Sexually Explicit Books. So there is a way to take legal action according to this lawyer. So definitely we have to figure something out, because if this becomes okay, what we're seeing now, that incest book that you're referring to is a newer one that's coming through. And the problem with that book is if a child has had no sexual experiences, they read this book, there is nothing pointing out to it being bad. You're actually in the mind of the molester, and there's graphic details of what they're doing to the child. So it's very disturbing.
But the real problem is the Bible, Drea. And you know what? What do you want to bet? I'll bet you a
Which
donut.
clearly says don't sleep with your sister, your brother, or your mother.
Yeah, but to me, that's a moot point. What do you want to bet? That the Bible is not in that library? Ooh, the Bible. Ooh, all that religious stuff.
It's not even allowed out here in BC. You're not allowed to have the Bible in there.
Oh, gosh. Well, speaking of the Bible, there was a story, and it's now getting international coverage. I noticed today it was in Newsweek.com in the U.S., and that was the visit Lincoln and I had to the Waterloo Catholic District School Board. Many parents are absolutely furious. A trustee there, Ashby, tweeted that the most dangerous creature on the planet is a white male Christian, almost getting no media coverage at all. But Drea, let me be devil's advocate here. What if this trustee tweeted the most dangerous creature on the planet is, well, let's say we substitute white for black, we substitute male for trans, and we substitute Christian for Muslim. Can you imagine? I think the hearing at the Human Rights Tribunal is already underway, and it's, and you can see, Prime Minister Blackface would, weigh in saying, there's no room for intolerance in my Canada.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but no big deal here. Well, you know what? The parents made it a big deal. We went there, and as I said earlier, when it came time to ask questions, that was my question, and let's just see what happened, folks.
Point for her to make the outrageous comments that she has made, that would be the only honorable thing for her to do.
Someone who oversees that many students in the Catholic school board, it just goes to show that she shouldn't be in this position of power.
Honestly, I just want to invite her out. Why don't you get to know some of us white Christian men? Maybe that'll change your thinking.
I mean, we've seen a lot over the last few years, and I'm shocked that I can still be shocked at this point. And I mean, running for the Waterloo Region District School Board, it's public, it's secular. We don't have the Bible to back us up. And here they do.
She actually gave me my first ever Pride pin.
Oh, okay.
We met during the municipal election last year. I think she's a really great voice for the trustee board. I might not necessarily agree with everything that she says, but I don't think that it's a resignation issue.
The absurdity and the hypocrisy are staggering, but that's par for the course for the woke, as we all know.
These are people who are clearly angry. Anyone who's making such a generalization is clearly very angry, got a lot of hate in his or her heart, and I can't imagine where she would come up with something like that. It sounds like this is a deeply wounded person.
Parents probably don't even know, for the most part, what's going on. I'm not even a grandmother. I'm here fighting for everybody else's kids, and we need to stop this. Go back to teaching the kids how to think.
Actually, Dave Menzies with Rebel News. You had a trustee by the name of Wendy Ashby state, the most dangerous creature on the planet is the white Christian male. They're a threat to anyone that is not them. Does this board condemn or approve this statement? So you approve of this statement? I would ask Miss Ashby herself, but she is sitting this one out. Yeah. Do you approve or condemn this racist, sexist, anti-Christian statement? Yes or no? Yes. What? That's what these people are here for. And what's that? Who are you? Oh, can I see your license? Absolutely. That's what these people are here for, and you won't answer this question. So does this school board support racism, sexism, and anti-Christian hate? Does it? Huh? Does it? Does it?
Oh, they're running out. Unbelievable.
I just need to have my staff. I need to have a safe spot for my staff. So I'm just asking you to stay out of the right place. Thank you.
That's good, guys. Well, I just love the ending of that. It reminds me of that Game of Thrones scenes, Cersei's walk of shame to the castle, right? Shame, shame, shame. But, that was the story from earlier this week, of course, Drea. And I just want to, one of our jobs here, in addition to exposing those who need to be exposed, well, it also, we're like the umpire behind home plate. We call balls and strikes. And when we see something good, we must acknowledge that. And last night, a statement was put out by a trustee of the Waterloo Catholic District School Board. Her name is Marissa Phillips, and I shall read it. As a newly elected trustee in the Waterloo Catholic School Board, I want to publicly express my personal dismay and sadness regarding the hateful comments made by my colleague on Twitter. These comments deeply hurt members of our Catholic school community and are entirely inappropriate, unacceptable, and should be condemned without hesitation. I stand with the concerned parents and community members who denounce my colleague's words. Racism and sexism against any group have no place in our society. These actions become especially heinous when they originate from an elected school board trustee whose hurtful comments are aimed directly at many of the families she has been tasked with representing. Our children deserve a healthy learning environment free from inflammatory politics and hateful rhetoric. As I stated during my election campaign, I believe that all children, no matter their race or gender, must feel included in our schools. I want to thank everyone who reached out to me to provide their concerns, and I will continue to focus my efforts in representing all families with the dignity and respect that they deserve. Good on you, Miss Phillips.
Well done.
Here's the thing I want to ask you, though, Drea. You know what's missing in the 4 days since this story broke? Any comment, especially an apology from Wendy, the trustee that issued that vile tweet.
Yeah.
And any comment from the school board itself, not even an apology, not even something along the lines of this trustee, Wendy Ashby, does not speak for the board. Evidently, that's too high a goal to reach. Your thoughts, my friend?
Well, and not even the common equalizer of what's said in the Bible, because what she is saying is anti-Christian. You have in Galatians, it makes it very clear that we are all as one. So God didn't create the man as the worst creature on the world. So they could have done a statement about that. There was one lady that you interviewed there who said she's surprised how she can continue to be shocked. I feel that way every time I open my emails. Yeah. Every email, every third one, I'm like a new layer of shock. How is this still happening? But again, we're talking about these issues with the public school, but this is a Catholic school.
I know.
Where you have a trustee doing this. It is so concerning. And I wonder, I don't know if you know, does she have kids? Does she have a son herself who will one day be a white male? Imagine your mom is raising you to believe that you're the worst thing on the planet, basically. But yeah, you hit it on the nail with your question. You called it racist, you called it anti-Christian, and you called it misogynistic, right? Is that what you said? Or sexist,
I think it's misandry when it's against a man,
misandry. So sexist, and that's exactly what it is. But yet you see there's no apology here from the board or from the trustee who said this. This is how concerning times are. But if you look in times when people are actually oppressed or there is a huge racism problem, it's only the small minority of people who speak up. And that's what we're having here. The general consensus is portrayed to be that it's okay to be racist against white people and sexist against males and anti-Christian. Yes. That is unfortunately what is the norm, whether or not the silent majority agrees or not. Eventually it will change. It's going to take the small amount of people who are speaking out is going to take more speaking out on these issues and saying enough is enough.
It's an egregious double standard, Drea. And let me tell you something. How's this for an added layer of insanity to this story? A source close to this school board reached out to me and said that Wendy Ashby, the author of that vile tweet, rather than apologizing, she might be going forward with an ethics violation accusation against the trustee, Marissa Phillips, who apologized because evidently you're not supposed to issue a press release, a statement without getting board approval first. So in the hours and days that come, think about this, Drea.
The nerve.
This school board might condemn and penalize the person who apologized for the racism and the sexism and the anti-Christian tweet, while still protecting the hater, the sexist, the anti-Christian trustee. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but that's a theory. And if it does happen, you know what? What is the purpose of having a Catholic school board then, Drea? It would seem to me to be Catholic in name only.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I hope we don't see that happen. And I just want to say one more thing. The Bible is such a good tool with how to live life. It very clearly tells you a command. The most important command next to loving Christ is to love others the way that he loves you. I mean, so that's an equalizer for everyone. Just teach kids to respect people the way they want to be respected, and you have it all set. But instead, we keep saying things like this. I think we're going to go to an ad break right now. But if anybody wants to weigh in with what we just talked, go ahead and live chat to us through Rumble or Odyssey, and we'll catch that when we get back from these ad breaks.
The media said that Canadian truckers were Russian agents controlled by Vladimir Putin. Justin Trudeau called them extremists.
The small fringe minority.
We are here out of love for our families, our communities.
And the government put the country under martial law to stop them. But what's the real story?
If you can't see the future in clear outline right now, you're not paying attention. But the truckers in Canada can.
And I want you to know that I'm not afraid.
For the first time, the woman at the heart of the trucker convoy speaks out.
Hold the line.
Tamara Leach, passionate organizer, loving mother and grandmother, proud Métis and proud Albertan, and defiant political prisoner jailed for daring to criticize the government. Tamara Leach. Her new book, Hold the Line, My Story from the Heart of the Freedom Convoy, is the inside scoop of what really happened. You've heard from the media and the convoy's critics. Now hear the truth from the woman who inspired the world and made Justin Trudeau blink. Visit theconvoybook.com to order your copy now.
Oh, I understand it's already a bestseller in terms of the pre-orders, Drea, but what a hero. Well, you know what? From hero to zero, let's talk a little. I mean, we're really heavy on the transanity today, aren't we? Faye Johnstone, can we show a picture of fabulous Faye, guys? Because it kind of looks like Danny Bonaducci having a bad hair day. Oh my goodness. Holy Frankenstein, Batman. Anyways, she put out a tweet, Drea. More fun with Twitter, it would look like. Quote, the hate mongers at Rebel News just launched a petition calling on YWCA Regina to fire Faye. They misgendered me. And published my dead name. The far right is targeting trans people and trying to force us out of public life. But I'm not going anywhere. Yeah, unfortunately, you aren't. And, Drea, two things. I think the W in YWCA stands for woman, as in biological females. And Regina? I mean, I always look at Saskatchewan as a bastion of the conservative movement. And for this, organization in a Saskatchewan city to be infected with this transanity as well, I mean, I'm beginning to lose hope. What's going on here, Drea?
Well, and not only that, of course, Faye did not share the article, because if you read the article, it's not really misgendering. It says a male to female transgender person, which is exactly what Faye is. And proper journalism is explaining who someone was a minute ago if they're going by a different identity today. So we just say the name that Faye goes by and the previous name, formerly known as. I have seen incidents where there are crimes being reported, even someone who is suspected and they are transgender, and they will only give out the current name instead of saying formerly known as, out of this fear of doing a dead name. Well, how helpful is that when we're talking about criminal cases? So don't go ahead and label it hate to practice journalism. But I went to go comment on something there, but of course, Faye has it set up that only if Faye is following you can you comment, to make sure that the comments are all, you know, a nice little echo chamber there. But there's one comment, I don't know if we can see lower. So he's turned off the comments, and then it says, where I think I have it. Oh, yeah. Where are our governments? Why aren't they acting? Where are our allies? Why is it time and time again left to us, under-resourced, disproportionately poor? So now trans people are the poorest, apparently, and trans people to fight back. Okay, first of all, our government is going hard on this. They are making it so that you can't even protest a drag queen story time completely peacefully near a public space that you pay taxes for. They're always talking about this. We've got our politicians walking around in heels. I don't know why they say that's against violence of women. I mean, how much more can it be? But not only that, this woe is me tweet is from a person who was the face of Hershey during International Women's Day. I don't know if we have a quick video of that ad, but you had women actually cast to the back in that. They're actually in the background, huddled in the corner. And then you have Faye all over in the front of it. You know your place, women, get in the back where you belong. And yet, woe is me. Now, I'm sure that Faye isn't that poor after that, that contract for that Hershey agreement. So.
Well, it really speaks volumes, doesn't it, that the radical transgender movement seems to be the only demographic out there asking for more government regulation, especially when it comes to what we say, what we think. I hearken back to the famous Ronald Reagan quote, Drea, where he said, one of the biggest lies in the world is the statement, "Hi, I'm from the government. I'm here to help you." And yet Faye wants the thought police to armor up and snuff out any kind of, impolite thoughts or questions. Really? No, I don't think so. And my question, as Faye is saying, where are the governments? You know what I'm saying for our side, Drea? Where are the feminists? Where is the feminist movement, or have they gone woke to the degree, Drea, that they chant trans woman a real woman? They're doing that too, as they throw 4 billion real women under the bus. Is that what's going on right now?
Well, it certainly seems like that in the sports industry, and I will say the makeup industry. If you are a woman interested in, going online, looking at a makeup tutorial, you have to look at males who identify as women putting on makeup. What is that? Like, I can't even look at somebody who resembles me anymore. Sometimes they have beards. Can I just get a makeup tutorial? Like, is it that hard?
Drea, last week when I was guest hosting for Ezra Levant, I did a monologue on the Bud Light fiasco, and Anheuser-Busch is still continuing to hemorrhage from the whole Dylan Mulvaney ad campaign and the bimbo director of marketing targeting the frat boys as a problem. The biggest demographic of Bud Light. But anyway.
They just let go someone else from the top two.
Yes, that's right. Position. But by the way, speaking of apologies, that's the one thing they haven't done. They haven't issued an apology, and the longer they rag the puck on that, the more the bleeding is going to continue. But I made an incorrect prediction. I said that, what do you want to bet that any corporations that have some trans-themed marketing campaign, that's gone into the paper thresher, and they've gone back to the drawing board. And lo and behold, a few days ago, what do I read? MAC Cosmetics. They're going trans with their marketing campaign. If I'm a woman, meaning a biological woman, I'm going, oh, no. You too, MAC? Luckily, you don't have a monopoly on cosmetics. There's plenty of other good providers to go for. And again, look at that nonsense. MAC is a champion of inclusivity and diversity. Really, MAC? Fake females getting into sports with biological females, fake females getting into penitentiaries with female convicts. And typically those happen to be the sex offenders. Oh, knock me down with a feather. Why is this nonsense being wrapped up in inclusivity and diversity, Drea?
I don't know the answer to that question, but it's never a good marketing strategy to ignore 99.9% of who your actual, target market is and focus on that. Companies are companies. I don't know if anybody saw the, oh my gosh, why am I forgetting his name? The comedian Will Smith slapped him. Why can't I remember his name? But his Netflix, everybody knows who I'm talking about. His Netflix special, he talks about how Lululemon is all woke and says they're anti-racist and stuff. And he says, well, if you're anti-racist, you certainly are anti-poor with your $100 yoga pants. I'm pretty sure people would rather just have racist $20 yoga pants instead. And that's kind of what it's like. You're just a makeup company. You don't have to be so political. Just sell makeup,
I think you're speaking of Dave Chappelle. Is that?
No. Oh my gosh. Chris Rock. I've seen him live. Yeah, I don't know why I couldn't remember his name.
I'm sorry. I got off on the, because as you know, about a year and a half ago, Dave Chappelle was under, was the focus of the trans mob. And Netflix did not bend the knee. The special did run. But as they say, always follow the money. Netflix had already paid out $60 million for 3 concerts, this being the third one. I just wonder if there wasn't $20 million at stake, would Netflix have bent the knee to the mob? Maybe. But in that case, money talks and trans BS walks, thankfully. We'll take our victories wherever we can get them, Drea. But, we
do have someone wanting to weigh in on this matter. Ableist SL donates $5 through live chats on Rumble. Says Anheuser-Busch, Molson Coors, Heineken, Diageo. I'm not familiar with that brand, so I probably said it wrong. And Sapporo, via subsidiaries, were all caught catering to the regressive left. We need to make them and other woke catering companies bleed in the wallet. Well, I wouldn't be surprised if that's true at all. That's even with some of the books and stuff that we're talking about earlier, subsidies and funding are really the backbone to a lot of this madness that's happening. So
yeah, and Drea, I have a resource for our viewers. I had the co-author of this book on a few weeks ago for an interview, Nikki Bailu, and he has co-written a book called The Great Patriot Boycott book, not boycott, because it's very easy to.
I like that.
Yeah, because they had already done a book of here are the companies to boycott, and I remember saying to him when it first came out, Nikki, I don't know if there's anyone left to patronize anymore. He says, leave it with me. And so he co-wrote this boycott book, B-U-Y-C-O-T-T, a clever turn of phrase. And you can go through it category by category. They've done the research of, companies that are conservative, that are non-woke. And you know what, folks? This is the best way you can strike back at the transanity and the wokeness is support those who are not bending the knee. And I'm making it my mission to, it's American-centric, that book, Drea, but if there are any Canadian products, heck, even if I don't need it, I'm going to go out and buy it just to vote with my wallet.
And I love that it's positive. It's where to buy instead of where not to. That's great. What a great idea.
And to invest in as well,
Nice.
And that's the thing, Drea, like you said, there is more of us than them, right? This is the tail wagging the dog. Time for the dog to wake up and bite back at the tail and show who's boss. So there you go. Let's vote with our wallets as well as our words and opinions. Now, I guess that's enough transanity for now. Why don't we get to the Tucker Carlson story. This is a worldwide story, of course. And yesterday, Tucker Carlson broke his silence in a Twitter video. Why don't we hear what he has to say, and we'll weigh in with our comments right after this, folks.
Good evening, it's Tucker Carlson. One of the first things you realize when you step outside the noise for a few days is how many genuinely nice people there are in this country. Kind and decent people, people who really care about what's true, and a bunch of hilarious people also, a lot of those. It's got to be the majority of the population, even now. So that's heartening. The other thing you notice when you take a little time off is how unbelievably stupid most of the debates you see on television are. They're completely irrelevant. They mean nothing. In 5 years, we won't even remember that we had them. Trust me, as someone who's participated. And yet at the same time, and this is the amazing thing, the undeniably big topics, the ones that will define our future, get virtually no discussion at all. War, civil liberties, emerging science, demographic change, corporate power, natural resources. When was the last time you heard a legitimate debate about any of those issues? It's been a long time. Debates like that are not permitted in American media. Both political parties and their donors have reached consensus on what benefits them, and they actively collude to shut down any conversation about it. Suddenly, the United States looks very much like a one-party state. That's a depressing realization, but it's not permanent. Our current orthodoxies won't last. They're brain dead. Nobody actually believes them. Hardly anyone's life is improved by them. This moment is too inherently ridiculous to continue, and so it won't. The people in charge know this. That's why they're hysterical and aggressive. They're afraid. They've given up persuasion. They're resorting to force. But it won't work. When honest people say what's true, calmly and without embarrassment, they become powerful. At the same time, the liars who've been trying to silence them shrink, and they become weaker. That's the iron law of the universe. True things prevail. Where can you still find Americans saying true things? There aren't many places left, but there are some, and that's enough. As long as you can hear the words, there is hope. See you soon.
You know, Drea, I love Tucker Carlson. He is a lion amongst pussycats. I think what happened, I mean, if you look at the chronology in recent weeks, and I'm forgetting parts of the Fox News saga, but, you know, there was Dan Bonagino leaving because they couldn't come up with a contract for him. There was the $787 million settlement in favor of Dominion voting machines. And by the way, Tucker wasn't a cheerleader on the Dominion file. I think Hannity reported more on that than Tucker did. And also there are whispers of the big pharma companies, which are a huge part of cable news networks. I mean, you know, there's pharmaceuticals for everything. I always get a alert listening to the last 30 seconds of side effects when you take the drug, right? Which seem to be worse than the curse, to be quite honest. And there was pressure, you know, put on the owners and management of Fox. I mean, this is speculation. We don't know. Tucker hasn't come out and said exactly why. But I think this is what happened. They went to Tucker. They said, it's our way. It's not your way. Bend the knee. Do as we say. And I think Tucker said, it's not your way. It's the highway. See ya. No one tells me how to do my show. And he left on a matter. This is my theory. I might be wrong. Yeah. I think he left on a matter of principle. The watchdog was not going to become another lapdog. And wherever Tucker ends up, Drea, I mean, if he starts as a new platform, if he starts podcasting, if he surrounds himself with other talent that are outspoken and lean to the right, and begins his own cable news network, anything's possible. Heck, he might even run for office. I don't know. Don't worry. Tucker is going to be fine, and he ain't going away.
Yeah, you know, what is to be noted about this is that he released that video the exact time you would be able to expect him to do a show on Fox. So it was like, nothing's happening, you know, it's all continuing. So that was kind of an interesting, I don't think that was a mistake that he did that. And, you know, this is Tucker unleashed. I'm not necessarily saying he was leashed. I don't know. But for now, for sure, he will be unleashed. And I don't know if it's a matter of principle that he left or a connection or a combination. It's hard to say. But I mean, even we recently had the James O'Keefe situation. Now we have the Tucker. It's definitely interesting. But one thing that he said there is, as long as we can still hear the words, then we have a chance. I absolutely agree with that. That's why, Bill C-11 is so terrifying out here in Canada, is because people need to be able to find the truth somewhere. So I'm glad that it seems as though he's going to pick back up and still be a voice. I have heard people say, I hope he runs for office. I think he would do good in that. But I personally hope he continues being a voice for truth, because that is what he is so good at and what is so needed right now.
And you know something, I mean, you make some very good points there, Drea. We have Bill C-11. This is going to be the fight of our lives this year when it's enacted. No doubt about it. The tragedy south of the border is that they have the First Amendment. It is enshrined in the Constitution. And this is something I've said often, that there's really only one thing worse than censorship, and that is self-censorship. And I see, whether it's Fox giving Tucker an ultimatum, supposedly, allegedly, and he said, see you guys. Or, as you mentioned, James O'Keefe being, exiting from Project Veritas. And by the way, when you look at the list of complaints against O'Keefe, Drea, it was embarrassing. One of the issues, so-called, do you know, he took an Uber Black ride sometimes as opposed to an Uber ride when he was in New York. Oh my God, he billed the company an extra $17. Are you serious, with all the incredible scoops that he's provided? So yeah, I'm not buying what that board was saying about James O'Keefe. And I'm on his side, I'm on Tucker's side. And, wow, that would be a dream team, wouldn't it? Get O'Keefe, Tucker, some other, Dan Bonagino, get Mark Levin over on side. Wow, that's your Fantastic Four for the, the cable news wars right there. But before we go on to another subject, let us play one of the 3 promised ads we must get to, and we'll see you on the other side, folks.
I am doing something today that I have never tried before. Listen up. I'm looking for collaborators in a new and exciting initiative. As you most likely know, YouTube a long time ago demonetized Rebel News, and we are 100% viewer funded. Now, while our supporters are fantastic at helping us cover legal campaigns and special reporting missions, unfortunately, the reality is our day-to-day operational expenses often exceed our income stream. Which is crazy if you think about it, because my videos across all platforms attract hundreds of thousands of views and sometimes even millions. So I want to share that reach with the right partners. If you have a product or business and want to enter a win-win relationship with me, please go to rebelnews.com/ads and fill in the form to let me know. I won't be accepting anyone. I need to believe in your business or product so I can sell it proudly for you. And for successful applicants, I will guarantee a minimum view count, meaning even if your ad is published on the less popular reports, we'll keep promoting your business or product until it gets the agreed minimum eyeballs. So again, if you have a cool company or product that either wants to take advantage of my reach or want to support my work through advertising in a way that you can write it off as a tax deduction, or both, head over to rebelnews.com/ads and hopefully we can join forces soon.
I gotta say, Drea, Avi is one heck of a salesman. If I was an advertiser, I'd just be throwing my money at him right now. I'm telling you.
I know, it's like I gotta go start a business now to advertise with them. But no, I love that it's on the theme of the whole boycott book that you mentioned.
Yes.
Because it's like, this is what needs to happen, is that we support each other, and it is a win-win relationship. You'd have all the people who want to support, sort of like-minded businesses become aware of you. And of course, it helps keep the voice of bringing the other side of the story with Rebel News alive. So I love that.
100%. Fantastic. So, oh my goodness. Well, Blackface is at it again. He put out a video. I can tell he must be in a blue collar environment because yet again, he's lost his jacket. He's rolled up his shirt sleeves. He's loosened his tie because he's just one of the hard-working blue-collar Canadians. He's just like us, Drea.
That picture is how you know he's speaking with peasants.
Oh, yeah. Well, when he's at the University of Ottawa, he's dressed to the nines talking to the woke crowd, but I digress. And evidently, Trudeau is peddling the idea of that unbelievably subsidized Volkswagen battery factory in St. Thomas is a huge win. Let's hear what he has to say. And I'm going to tell you, Dre, I want to hear your thoughts on it too. I'm going to tell you why there's no way in hell this is a huge win. B is for battery and B is for boondoggle. And that's what we're getting. Take it away. B is for blackface.
Great news. Canada will be home to Volkswagen's new massive electric vehicle battery factory. This factory is a major win for Canada and a real vote of confidence in Canadian workers. Thousands upon thousands of jobs here in Ontario and right across the economy as we build up our critical minerals and battery supply chains. But Volkswagen isn't the only big company looking at what Canadians are doing and taking interest. Whether it's Stellantis, Michelin, ArcelorMittal Dofasco, Rio Tinto, or Honda, we're seeing companies looking to place their investments and their confidence in Canadian workers. Because that's what we're building, a clean economy that works for all Canadians. Over the past years, our Made in Canada plan has been all about that. Leadership on fighting climate change and protecting the environment. Investments in the middle class and people working hard to join it. These are the things that people are looking at to build a stronger future for their companies and for the world. That's where Canadians are stepping up. So as we lead on environment, as we work with Indigenous peoples to build better partnerships, as we move forward on supporting the middle class with things like childcare and dental care and the supports that really families need to succeed, we're delivering a stronger economy. Now there's still some people who believe that you have to make a choice between what's good for the environment and what's good for the economy. But this announcement today, and so many others like it, proves how wrong the Conservative leader is. We're going to continue to build an economy that works for all Canadians.
Oh my God, Drea, I don't know where to begin, but I'll just get right to it, and then I want to hear you weigh in on this. First of all, he says thousands upon thousands of jobs are going to be created at this factory. How many thousands? Well, evidently, when pressed, it was between 3,000 and 8,000 jobs. Even the low figure, Drea, 3,000 jobs, I'm calling bullshit on this. This is going to be a heavily automated plant, tons of robots. The idea there's going to be 3,000 jobs there, as Siegfried used to say on Get Smart, I find that very hard to believe. Also, the amount of money, it's $13.2 billion from the federal government, $500 million from the Ontario PC government. So let's round it off to $14 billion. I'll say this, Drea. We'd be ahead of the game as taxpayers if we just took those mythical 3,000 workers and gave them $1 million, a gas-guzzling Ford Mustang GT, and probably a Caribbean villa. We'd be ahead of we'd be paying out less than what this plant is doing. You're also assuming there's going to be a market for all these batteries. And I think the predictions of how many people on the planet are going to go electrified is greatly exaggerated. Why? Because A, the price of all electric vehicles, and B, the practicality. If you're in a rural environment, if you lived in a New York City condo or apartment, where's the infrastructure for chargers going to go? It hasn't been thought out. It's all virtue signaling and wokeism. And you know what? If this was such a good deal, Drea, riddle me this. There was a great story in Blacklocks recently, and it was about if MPs wanted to see the contract between the federal and Ontario governments and Volkswagen, They had to go to a room. They had to surrender their cell phone. They weren't allowed to have any recording device. They were given a contract. They had to sit there and read it, couldn't take notes. And then at the end, they leave. They give the contract to a clerk, and it goes into a paper shredder. Excuse me, why the secret? This kind of sounds like vaccine contracts to me. I think they played the same game with that. Drea, what I'm saying is that if this is so win-win, where's the transparency, especially from Prime Minister Blackface, who promised in 2015 this was going to be the most transparent government in Canadian history? The precise opposite is true.
Of course, surprise, surprise. And of course, he's like, oh, other country or other businesses are noticing how great it is to come to Canada. Yeah, that's because you're given $14 billion. Of course, they're coming to us. Yeah. We look like absolute fools. I don't know how much of the batteries are made from cobalt on the backs of, child slaves. He says it's like a clean option or things like that. But you're right. It is about gaslighting. Our rural areas are saying, how on earth are we going to implement any of this stuff? I heard out in I better not say which part, but in the interior of BC, just because I can't remember exactly where, so I won't say where. But interior BC, they have electric buses for the school, for the kids, and it's not even able to run half the time because they can't charge it. And they spent a ton of money on that as well. I'm going to do a report on that with more details. But this is just gaslighting the people. And of course, he didn't mention, the $14 billion in there when he's doing this little video. Now, did he?
And Drea, correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's Vancouver, Victoria. I remember hearing about this last year. There's like an all-electric fire truck. I think it's like 3 times the price of a regular fire truck, and the range. So
expensive.
Yeah, the range is laughable. It could literally run out of juice en route to the house that's on fire. But you know what, folks? Give the fire department a break. There it is, Canada's first electric fire truck poised for rollout in Vancouver this year. But you know what? Yeah, they didn't put out the fire, folks, but think of how low the carbon footprint was when they were trying to get to the fire. That's what counts, unbelievable. And I've researched this issue extensively, and right now, the numbers, Drea, don't add up. What I liken it to with electric vehicles especially, I remember it was around 1976, 77, the first VCRs and the Betamaxes were coming out. And in mid-70s dollars, those were about $1,800 to $2,000. Huge. By the time the VCR went the way of the Dodo, my local Loblaws was blowing them out for $29, and this is 10 years ago. What I'm saying is you pay to be a trailblazer. I'll give you an example. The Ford F-150 Lightning, I think I've seen 2 on the road so far. That's the all-electric Ford pickup truck. According to Car and Driver, when they did a review of it, these are US dollars, it was $69,000 was the base price, but because of the scarcity, the dealer markup, and I've never seen a figure like this, Drea, $73,000. The dealer markup was more than the actual vehicle. So you could get 2 top-of-the-line gas-burning Ford F-150 trucks, the luxury edition, or you can get one electric truck. And by the way, if you're going out into the hinterland to go hunting or camping or fishing, I don't think there's many plug-in stations out there. So, half your market, this is not a sellable thing. Are you attracted at all to going this route yourself, Drea?
Oh, man, no. I was actually in a dealership the other day, and the gentleman was mentioning the salesperson was mentioning he has an e-car, and he's like, but I hate it. It's not better for the environment, and it's so annoying to go to all of these areas and stuff. So it just, like you said, I think the VHS and the VCR thing is a perfect analogy of what's going to happen. Yeah. And I also wonder what happens 10 years later, what is the resale value of your car once its battery is low and things like that. I think that's going to be a real issue for people because a lot of people buy cars and then sell it later, and it becomes an asset, right? So, So
Drea, That's so
short-sighted.
important what you said, and I forgot to mention that. You are right. If that battery in an all-electric vehicle has to be replaced, the value of that
so
car
much.
is upside down now. You may as well buy a new one. It's not worth replacing. No, because it has a finite life. Oh, by the way, if there's any critics out there going, oh yeah, but Menzoid, you're always talking about your plug-in hybrid SUV. Yeah, the reason I bought it, folks, swear to God, is that I get to drive solo in the HOV lane because I get a green license plate. But the point is, it is battery powered for about 40 kilometers on a good day. But the rest of the propulsion is good old-fashioned gasoline. Yeah, I'm not cutting that umbilical cord anytime soon. I'm not. I don't want to suffer range anxiety. I know I can always slip into a Shell or a Petro-Canada, get a fill up, and I'm not stranded. So right
we
now,
drive a lot. We do drive
this
a
is
lot.
not a good deal, Drea.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it looks like it's about that time. We have another live chat.
Okay.
It's from Wonder Woman Wells. Donates $5. Thank you very much. And it's back on the trans issue because, you know, that takes over much of what's happening in society today. It says, nobody is buying this transgender anti-female crap. The more they keep relentlessly pushing this, the more the average citizen realizes it is about sexual abusers trying to erode our core beliefs. Well, certainly some people are starting to question why on earth this is being pushed so hard. Is there some sort of nefarious reason? Because it's not logical anymore at this point. It's not about equality. It's becoming about supremacy. So,
Andrea, what Wonder Woman Wells said, I believe, is the sentiment of the vast majority. I'm talking more than 90% of the population who are too scared, and sometimes with a valid reason. They run a business. They don't want to get deplatformed. They don't want to get doxxed. They don't want to be the subject of the trans mob boycott. But what Wonder Woman Wells said, I believe, is what the vast majority of people think, and we should get vocal about it, you know. And by the way, I want to say, I love that nickname, Wonder Woman Wells. Wonder Woman.
Yeah, it's a pretty good name.
Got to be the best female superhero costume.
Yeah.
Well, it's between Wonder Woman and Power Girl. If you don't know Power Girl, Google it. Her costume kind of makes Wonder Woman's look like a nun's habit. Anyway, and of course, Wells, as in Dawn Wells, who played Marianne in Gilligan's Island, and the eternal question for the ages, who is it, Marianne or Ginger? The answer is always Marianne. Absolutely. Am I in trouble now?
No, I'm listening to you.
Throw me a life preserver, will you?
Oh, it's always a pleasure.
Okay, so I guess we're caught up.
And we're all caught up.
All right, we're past 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. I think that's, 6 a.m. BC time or something, but I exaggerate yet again. Well, folks, thank you so much for tuning in. A special thank you to those who gave us a super chat. We greatly appreciate your donations. Thank you to super producers Efren and Olivia behind the booth. And, of course, to my lovely and talented co-host, Drea Humphrey. The live stream will be back tomorrow. I might be here. I might not. I think there's a Chinese police station story erupting tomorrow, and I'll have to jump into the Menzoid mobile and cover that. So there'll be 2 Rebel News reporters here tomorrow, likely not me. But again, thank you for tuning in. And as always, stay safe and stay sane.
This is a brain problem. It's not an attraction problem.
It's such an isolating addiction.